Welcome back, everyone, to Open Line. Glad you were with us. We have with us tonight Reverend Venita Lewis, a civil rights activist here in Nashville, has been for many years, has been part of the protests that we've seen here in Davidson County and across Tennessee. We have a bunch of calls. We're going to go right to the phones now. Let's start with Lucy. Hello, Lucy.
Hey, y'all.
Hi. What is on your mind?
Civil rights activist here in
all
Nashville.
of what Reverend Lewis has just said, I take every one of her points and agree with it because I am an elderly white woman. And the hell if I'm going back. I had to live with discrimination and segregation, you know, as a from the day I came into the world. And I've said this before, I think when Professor Mitchell was on, that the civil rights movement set a lot of white people free. And what she's saying about these young white kids, they're not going to live like that. They've seen some of this hatred. They come up a different way. For me to see kids, black and white kids playing together at McDonald's Playhouse, to me, to this day, I still remember when you weren't able to play with black kids. But, you know, Reverend Lewis, I want to talk about the statues and stuff that people are destroying. I disagree with taking down any war memorials to the Confederate dead. A lot of these people were beaten and drafted to go into the Confederacy. Like here in Nashville, the Confederacy, when it occupied Nashville, they raped, pillaged, terrorized, and shot their fellow deacons at their church that were pro-Union. And when the Union came in, then they terrorized Nashville, thinking that it was all a Confederate town, and then they hated the Union. So the people in Nashville historically know what that toss back and forth is like. And somebody made up their mind after the Civil War that there was going to be a push and a nudge and a push and a nudge. Well, the nudging and pushing's over with. So these statues, the Silent Sams, it upsets me to see people deface any property, but those in particular, do I idolize the generals and stuff? No, because most of them were rich people, and they were like Forrest. Let's bring up Forrest. Forrest, Jack Kershaw, who did that bust in the Capitol.
Right.
I would like to know if the state of Tennessee commissioned that, if we paid for that as a taxpayer. Now, I know he was friends with an old South Democrat in there that got all this pushed through. But when you look at some of the stuff that they brag about Forrest and everything, it's just like bragging about Jackson. That cheap statue we have down on Capitol Hill, they were shopping around trying to get rid of some statues that people had ordered and then buy, and we got that one cheap.
All right, let's ask.
That we like Jackson.
Right.
But my point is, and I'm getting there, is that when I sat there and look at what the KKK, which came down from up north and they brought it here to Tennessee, it's old Teutonic witchcraft stuff that they brought down here in Tennessee to make people feel like something. Forrest was not the leader of the Klan. He was a mascot. After the Civil War, he was poor. He was slave broke. He was poor, but he was a mascot. He was a rallying point to divide.
All right, I'm going to ask. That's interesting.
But hang on.
Okay.
He was involved. All of this is the occult. So I want to know, since we have such a Christian legislature, how we can sit there and conduct occultism. The rest of us don't want to be in the eyes wide shut cult that these people are involved with. And I sat there and look at the governor's briefing every day with the drapes all triangular and everything, and the big W that they're making back there. You know, where's Alex Jones? Isn't that the Illuminati and all this crap that they tell us to be paranoid of Bill Clinton and all this?
Okay, all right. That's interesting, and I'll let you comment on that, Reverend Lewis. First, I want to ask you, Reverend Lewis, about the defacing of monuments. You had said you were opposed to the damage of property that happened after that first march. What do you think about what we've seen where monuments have been torn down? They aren't just, it's not voted to be removed, that protesters tear down the monuments. What are your thoughts there?
I mean, we have to plan for the future. there are so many of us who are against the Nathan Bedford Forrest bus inside the Capitol, but all of the statues. So if we're trying to satisfy the next generation, you know, the governor could put together a 5-year plan of building a great building and putting all of those statues in. So it could be like a museum where people who want to go and know the history can understand the history. If you want to go, you can go. If you don't, you don't. But we don't need the Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan in a great bust inside the Capitol. Put together a plan to hold on to the statues and have it as a museum somewhere in the great state of Tennessee where people can go visit and if they want to write some history, or the same way we go to any museum. But it should not be where they're standing on side of the road and inside of the Capitol where it's a symbolism for those who don't want to see it. But I'm not for destroying the statue. I'm for preserving them where they need to be preserved, and that's in a location.
You're not for taking a rope
Capitol.
and lassoing a statue and pulling it down. That's not what you don't support that.
I'm not for that. I'm for a plan to collect them from around the state of Tennessee in a 5 or 8 year plan to move them to a location. That would be awesome if you want to go and learn about Nathan Bedford Forrest and what he's all about, and the next statue, whoever, and let those who want to go visit in a museum to see. It's an ugly part of history for African Americans, but it is history. But to not understand that we have positioned these statues as a mockery of slavery and slave trading is hypocrisy, because we are smarter than that. We can do something with the statues, but they shouldn't be idolized in the Capitol.
And now, Lucy, I was sorry to cut you off. Did you understand where she was going with the occult part of that? Do you have a comment on that, or do you want me to just take the next call here?
Are you asking me?
Yeah, I'm asking you. Did you I may just move on. Okay, but Lucy, thank you for your call, as always. Thank you, Lucy. I'm going to go to Terry. Hello, Terry.
Hello.
Hello, go right ahead.
Yes, I would just like to make the comment that since we're in the new country of the USA, we are all from somewhere else. And I would hate for, I'm 62, I didn't make slaves, and I hate that happened. That was wrong. It was wrong and wrong. But there's a lot of history, I think, that people, some of the black African people caught their own people and sold them to the slave traders, the white slave traders. And I'm Cherokee. I've got a lot of Cherokee ancestry in me. And what about the Trailatiers? That wasn't right either. And what they did to that guy by putting their knee on his neck and suffocating him to death, that was wrong. But I don't think hatred, you don't fight hatred with hatred. I was very upset when the National Police Force stood back in riot gear and let all those young people of all colors, blacks and whites, burn, pillage, and go through the business owners' stores that were already suffering from the coronavirus, and they stood there and done nothing. I think our world altogether is giving out the wrong message of everything.
So you've been disappointed by what you've seen, some of the protests.
Yeah, a lot of angry mobs. And what about the Cherokee and the Trailatiers? The government forced them out of their own land. A lot of the Native Americans were here. And what I want to say is that God loves all of us. You know, the peace of Jesus matters. And maybe we can all learn from this. But certainly, what is going to be the next thing? To take our American flag down? Just to take it down altogether?
Okay.
I'm afraid there's going to be more and more and more to our rights of anything are stripped away, and it's going to be a one government socialist country.
Okay, there's a lot to unpack there. She's concerned by some of the violence she's seen in some of the protests. She's concerned that eventually the flag will be taken down, and then she wants everyone to get along. What are your thoughts to what she said there?
I too am American. So when America wake up, and one of the things that I have to say is that when America wakes up and realizes that several years ago, George Bush Jr. went inside of Iraq. It was called Iraqi Freedom. I watched it every night because Saddam Hussein was mistreating the Iraqis. So we went over and bombed Iraq, but we can't fix racism in this country. We can love, and I do love America. That's why people are fighting, because we love this country, and we want to see change so that every man can have a right to freedom. We want to go over and free another country, and we're not free here. Martin Luther King marched, and we didn't have to go through the back doors, and we could vote, and we could have somewhat would appear to be fair employment. We got a little. But now it's to take America to a whole new level where we are truly the land of the free and the home of the brave. We had a bill that was trying to be passed in the legislators, and it was called the George Floyd bill. And all it was saying that we would have, that people would have to stop. A police officer would have to stop someone when they know a police officer is going too far, that no shooting while a vehicle is moving. I think this came through the Republicans, and it was discussed by Mike Stewart, and just normal things that would help the police department, and the Republican legislators didn't pass it. So we have to keep fighting, because we cannot live this way as a country. We cannot continue in this vein. I do not think that thousands upon thousands and thousands of people, hundreds of thousands, possibly millions now across the United States and other countries are marching for America to be more fair and more just.
It clearly makes Terry uncomfortable. It makes a lot of people uncomfortable. Terry's saying it'll lead to, taking down the flag. It sounds like you're saying you support the flag. That's what gives you the opportunity to protest. You're not giving up on this country. You feel like we can get past racism. We've been battling racism a long time. I'm encouraged that you think we can get past it. So that's encouraging. Okay, I have to take a break. All right, we'll take a break, come back, take more calls. Take a break, be back right after this.